After a week of watching your team compete, Pete, do you expect the same starting offensive line this week you had last week?
That's a good way to ask it. You could have just asked if JPJ is playing. He's playing in this game, and then our guys they'll both play.
That was Pete Carroll on Friday here at the Raiders practice facility in Henderson, talking about Jackson Powers Johnson being cleared to play in Sunday's game, but also saying that he and Alex Kappa are going to both play on Sunday at right guard. Apparently, we'll see. But Pete Carroll talking again about Jackson Powers Johnson. We're going to get into all of that. I am Vinny Bonsignore. I cover the Raiders for the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Vegas Nation. Thank you for joining us here on Vegas Nation First and 10, brought to you by the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Station Casinos, STN Sports. To my right is my good friend and colleague Adam Hill, also covers the Raiders and everything else in Las Vegas for the Review-Journal and Vegas Nation. Without even bringing up JPJ, Pete brought up JPJ. I would imagine at this point he's probably getting a little, tired of talking about Jackson Powers Johnson. Why do you think that would be, Adam Hill?
That's a good question. I mean, I feel like they've kind of made their decisions. I think, look, it's very clear, just from all the way back to training camp, they don't feel the same way about Jackson Powers Johnson as a lot of other people do.
Yeah.
I think that's very clear. Whether that's, I don't think it's a personal thing. No. I think it's just their assessment of where he is as a player is not the same as maybe what everybody kind of assumed from last year watching. So I think there's part of this is this. I'm just trying to take Pete Carroll's perspective here. Yeah. It's, look, I came in to coach this team. I just don't see it with this guy. Why does everybody keep asking me about it?
It feels like at this point, if you're a fan of the Brady Bunch, the old Brady Bunch, Marsha is like, are you guys asking me about Jackson Powers Johnson again? It's like, I think Pete Carroll is kind of an old school coach.
Yeah.
These are the decisions that he's made. And I think he's a little bit maybe befuddled that it's kind of, that it's almost taken on a life of its own in terms of this popularity of Jackson Powers Johnson or how a lot of people feel about Jackson Powers Johnson. And he's a little bit like, in his mind, it's like, yeah, I mean, he's a good player, maybe an ascending player, but he's not ready yet to declare him the definitive starter at right guard. He needs some work and he needs some refinement, and that's how he sees it. And I guess he's just a little bit surprised. Not trying to speak for him, but I feel like I can that we're on to something here. That he's a little bit surprised that everyone keeps asking about Jackson Powers Johnson.
Yeah, in his mind, he's like, hey, this is a guy that we've kind of determined is not good enough,
or
right
just
now,
not
or
ready,
not ready, or whatever he is.
Yeah.
And like every single day, I'm asking him. It's kind of weird.
Why do you think that we're asking about it every single day?
Well, because the offensive line has been terrible.
Well, that's but going all the way back, let's go all the way back to.
And it was, look, Jackson Powers Johnson is a guy that came in. I think a guy that had a lot of high expectations.
Totally.
Is a very aggressive player, and I think people enjoy that when they watch him, and they see
a homegrown guy.
Sure, they see that Raider fan growing up, and they see that this guy probably is the future of the offensive line. And again, he had some good film last year. Not great, not earth-shattering, but I think it was like, he's a rookie, he's going to get better. And there was this assumption that he was going to be what he is, and he hasn't quite been that player yet. But I think everybody has kind of seen the potential for it. And Pete Carroll did not see any of that. He was not around here. He came in and saw a guy that he just didn't think was quite ready, and he's like, I made a determination the guy is just not a slam dunk home run starter right now.
In Pete Carroll's defense, it's not like Jackson Powers Johnson, was this great player in week one.
Yeah.
He's actually, whatever you say about Pro Football Focus, he's actually the lowest graded guard on the Raiders. Now some people would argue, he's playing out of position and should be a center, and maybe you can make that argument. But they like Jordan Meredith at guard, and we'll get into
at center. You mean?
I mean, they really like Jordan Meredith at center. I mean, we haven't talked since Chip Kelly spoke. I felt Chip Kelly was very reasonable and forthcoming in why he felt like Jordan Meredith was the better guy at guard. He flat out said he beat him out. Yeah. He won the job. That's what happens in the NFL. You compete, and in the coach's eyes, they pick who they feel like is the best player or best available option. And I'll say this about Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly. It doesn't seem to me like they would pick an inferior guy just out of stubbornness or anything like that.
No, I don't think so. Look, for whatever reason now, because it hasn't worked, because the offensive line has not been good. Now it's more of a topic of conversation. There's no question about it. It's not the only weakness on the team.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody can say, hey, if the offensive line was playing better, this team would be 3-0 right now. There's a lot of issues that the team has. That's one of them. And let's be honest, like, you drafted a running back against, with the new age thinking of the NFL. You drafted a running back in the first round, and he's not succeeding. He's not putting up big numbers. He's not doing what people expected, largely because the offensive line hasn't been great. And so now that's going to expand. That's going to add to the questions even more.
And I don't like, sorry to cut you off, but it befuddles me that anybody would be, a little bit curious as to why is everyone asking about the offensive line? I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. The offensive line, there were changes that were made, and I think the facts speak for themselves. Thus far, the offensive line just hasn't played very well. So there's going to be questions about that. Now, me personally, I think that, and I've said this before, Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly, they know football. They've been around football, and I think that they probably deserve a little bit of benefit of the doubt, or at least the necessary time for their vision to come to fruition. Their vision is they really like Jordan Meredith at guard. They want to see who can be the best option at right guard. They like Dylan Parham at left guard. Obviously, Colton Miller at left tackle, and DJ Glaze.
I'll also say, I don't know if they like them.
That's true too. I think they do. Colton
That's
Miller.
what they have right now.
That's what they have right now, and that's a really good point actually, because a lot of people ask me, if there's competition at right guard, why isn't there competition at left guard? Why isn't there competition at right tackle? DJ Glaze and Dylan Parham have both not played great football, right? They've played okay football. Why is it only right guard? Why is it only Jackson Powers Johnson? To which I would submit, I don't think they feel yet, anyway, that there's anybody that can viably challenge either DJ Glaze or Dylan Parham for starting roles. That will soon change, I believe, maybe in one case a little sooner than the other, when and if Caleb Rogers, who they drafted in the third round out of Texas Tech, is ready to start maybe competing for a starting job and maybe pushing Dylan Parham if Dylan Parham, doesn't get things squared away, and eventually
or Jackson Powers Johnson and Alex Kappa.
That too.
That's possible. It's possible you could just add a third to the competition.
Oh my God, everybody's head would explode. But
right,
yeah. So they drafted those guys for a reason, and I can assure everybody that's listening out there, you don't draft two linemen in the third round and just say, yeah, we're just going to have them sit around and not have plans for them. They have plans for Charles Grant, more so at tackle. But I guess if DJ Glaze, let's just say, starts getting back on track and being a viable right tackle, maybe Charles Grant becomes an option at one of the guard spots, just as Caleb Rogers is. So
can he snap?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think Caleb Rogers can. So
he did. We saw him snapping the ball at center. But I'm telling you, I think they really like Jordan Meredith at center. So we'll see how long that lasts. Now, all kidding aside, the bottom line of the matter is the Raiders need to play better up front on the offensive line. I don't think anyone in this building would argue anything but that. And you look at the Chicago Bears, Adam, the opponent on Sunday, and this feels like it's ripe for a get-right game for the Raiders. The Chicago Bears are giving up 5.5 yards per carry. That is the second most in the NFL. They're giving up just about 140 yards on the ground per game, which is one of the worst in the NFL. Their average, in terms of total yards, it's over 412, I think, in 3 games. That's bottom 10 in the NFL. So theoretically, this should be an opportunity for the Raiders to get to put their best foot forward and play a good game a lot, with the run.
Especially with no Grady Jarrett.
But yeah.
So no Grady Jarrett. They have three starters out on defense and potentially up to 6 guys that aren't playing.
Yeah.
It's not a full strength unit for sure.
Now here's the double-edged sword of that.
If you don't,
take it away. If they don't,
then a concern becomes a panic, I think.
yeah. It opens up a big can of worms.
Yeah, no
And
question.
Look, we got to write what we see and report what's going on, and the numbers haven't lied to date. And if that continues to struggle on Sunday, that's gonna get even more ramped up. So, but I'll just ask you flat out: do you have any confidence that the Raiders' offensive line can go out there and dominate not only a wounded opponent, but an opponent that, even when they were at full strength, I don't know if they've been at full strength, but
Yeah, they really
even
haven't.
at their best, just hasn't been able to get it done.
Well, I was going to say I think they will. Then you use the word dominate, and I
Okay, not
hesitate.
dominate.
Are they going to go out and dominate? I don't think so. Are they going to go out and have their best game? Probably. I think that's matchup based and opponent based. I think they're going to be able to run the ball with some success in this game, and I think they're going to have to. I think they're going to have to score points in this game, because I think the Bears will score points on the other side.
Same.
So, I think that I think that this will be the best rushing game for the Raiders. I think this will be the highest. I was going to say highest scoring game. Yeah, I think it'll be the highest scoring game, most successful running game. I think they're going to have some positive feelings coming out of this game on offense, but you hope that it's confidence and not, hey, everything's fixed, because I do think it's going to be successful, but I think it's going to be because the other team is not going to be quite as good.
Okay, fair enough. And on the other side of the football, let's not forget the Raiders gave up 41 points on Sunday against the Washington Commanders. Now, 14 of those points, 7 were directly the result of a 90-yard punt return, and another 7 were the byproduct of a 69-yard, I believe, kickoff return to start the game. So, the special teams played a big role in that, or the special team malfunctions played a massive role in that. But nevertheless, number one, when the Raiders were, forced to go defend a short field after the 69-yard kickoff return, they weren't able to do that, and then they got pushed around quite a bit and gave up a whole bunch of big plays on their own. So defense needs a rebound in a really massive way as well. Your level of confidence that can happen.
I mean, it's going to be tough to judge, because I do think it's a more explosive offense, and I think it's going to be more creative offense you're going to see out of Ben Johnson for sure in this game. So will the defense be better? I think they'll be better than they were last week. I don't know if that's going to show up necessarily on the scoreboard. But yes, so I don't think they're going to give 41 points. Let's say that.
No, okay.
I don't think that's going to
They
happen.
better not.
So it'll show up on the scoreboard. But I think in terms of some of the more, the raw numbers, some of the more, data-driven stuff, will they improve? It's going to be tough to say. Again, I think that's matchup based, just like it is on the defensive side. I think the offense will look better just because of who they're playing. I think the defense might not look as good because of who they're playing, but I think they'll play a better game. There's no reason to think they won't. I mean, that was last week, especially the tackling was out of character for what this defense has been. Defense has been improved, and I think you're going to continue to see a solid defense. I don't think they're great. I think they're better than we expected them to be, especially in the linebacking core. So I expect to see some improvement out of the defense, and not to give up 41 points, but I don't think that's really what the key number is.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Chicago Bears come in a hot team. Yes, they have the same record as the Raiders, but their win came in their most recent game. The Raiders' win came in their first game of the season, which seems like ions ago. But more than that, more than the fact that the Chicago Bears, won their first game of the year last Sunday, it was kind of how they did it. Now, granted,
Again, it's all matchup based.
It
the
is.
Cowboys were a disaster.
It is, but if you're Caleb Williams and you need some positive energy and some positive reinforcement, he certainly got that, because we've also seen Caleb struggle, in his first year and change, against opponents that he should have been able to do what he did against the Dallas Cowboys. So I give him a lot of credit for actually doing it. I'm kind of bullish on Caleb Williams. Went to USC. I think he has a chance to be a really good quarterback. It'd be interesting to chart that with Ben Johnson. The reason I say all that is because he's coming into this game with some momentum behind him, and we'll see if he can build off of that. Now, if I'm the Raiders, the way I try to stymie that is to try to get a whole bunch of pressure on him, and I'm not so sure that they're going to be able to do that with just their front four. I think you have to challenge him with some blitzes. I think you have to bring heat from various launch points, because that's, to me, really the best way to to neutralize a guy a Caleb Williams, who last week showed if you give him a clean pocket, he can tear you up. He did that to the Dallas Cowboys. The Raiders cannot afford to let that happen.
Yeah, I think for sure, and it will potentially help if DeAndre Swift is not playing as well for the Bears. Obviously, they've got some other talented backs, including Common On guy who looked pretty good last week. So, but I think it helps if you don't have a veteran like DeAndre Swift who can be effective, blitz pickup, getting out in the routes, being a receiver for them, might help your blitz potentially to not have that kind of a player in the backfield if DeAndre Swift can't go for the Bears.
Yeah, it is a banged-up Chicago Bears team. All the more reason why this is a game that the Raiders just need to take care of business. All right, before we take a quick break, I just want to remind everybody, you guys spoke loud and clear, and we heard it loud and clear. You wanted great Raiders coverage at a discounted price, and that's exactly what we are offering here at Vegas Nation. Vegas Nation, a digital subscription to Vegas Nation, can be had for 25 cents, one whole quarter for the next 3 months, not a quarter per month, one quarter for 3 months. Here's what you got to do.
It could also be 2 dimes and a nickel. You don't have to.
Mr.
You don't have to use a
Technicality
quarter.
over here.
In fact,
you
I
could
assume
go 25 pennies if you want.
I think it's more digital. I think you pay,
Of course.
through like a wire,
Yeah, nobody-
like a
yeah.
card. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I used to be a paper boy, and I would get change, and you
too.
go over to
Me
the
too.
knock on the door each month and collect your
you gotta
subscriptions. What an honorable time we lived in
Sure.
back then. Nowadays, nobody would even answer the door, probably. So
I had a lot of people that didn't answer the door.
everyone answered my door when I came knocking. Anyway, so one quarter, 25 cents, 25 pennies, whatever. Just credit card, however you're going to do it. It's 25 cents for the next 3 months, and all you have to do is go to mylvrj.com, mylvrj.com/nation, and sign up for a digital subscription to Vegas Nation the next 3 months for just 25 cents. When we come back, there's a special thing that's going to happen, on Sunday when the Bears take the field against the Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. Kind of a dream come true for a couple of pretty special kids that the local area knows really well. We're going to get into it when we get back.
I mean, it's super cool, man. I mean, we used to talk about these moments in high school, and to get one on the big stage in our hometown, and me playing at home and him playing for his new team, doing great. It's gonna be fun. Really excited for it.
It's not even like you're a quarterback and he's an offensive lineman. You're a cornerback and he's a wide receiver. So you guys are gonna face each other. What that just probably adds to the whole part of this.
Oh yeah, that's the excitement. I mean, like I said, we've been working for this moment, both of us, for our whole lives. And now we get a chance to showcase against each other on the biggest stage. So.
All right. So that was Caillou Blue Kelly, who's quickly becoming a media favorite, I would say, right? Super cool kid. Great story. Bounced around the NFL after being a 5th-round pick by the Baltimore Ravens a couple of years ago, and has played with a whole bunch of teams, landed on the Raiders last year after he got waived for a 3rd time last year. And lo and behold, came into training camp and came all the way from 4th, 5th string, I don't even know what string he was at that point, to win the starting cornerback job. He's a local kid from Bishop Gorman High School, went to Stanford, and has now found a home in his old home here in Las Vegas. If that's not special enough that he's playing for his hometown team, or the team that plays in the city that he grew up in, here comes Rome Odunze from the Chicago Bears, a teammate of Caillou's at Bishop Gorman High School. They're going to be able to realize a lifelong dream, or a dream that they've had and talked about and visualized and tried to talk into existence ever since they were teammates at Bishop Gorman from 2016 to 2018. What a cool moment that's going to be for a couple of kids that, like I said, the local area knows really well.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm particularly excited about when they actually match up,
which they will,
head to head. Line up across the scrimmage from each other, just like they did on the practice field for so many years at Gorman, and just go head to head in the NFL. I mean, it'll be. I think you block out the fans, you block out everybody else on the field. And it's just, hey, we've done this a million times. And we've gone back and forth and trash talk and everything else that you do with friends, and now you're doing it in the NFL on the biggest stage.
And not only in the NFL, because that's special enough. But it's
In Las
literally
Vegas.
in Las Vegas. Now, working in Los Angeles, saw that quite a bit. Whether it was the NBA, baseball, football, high school teammates or college teammates childhood friends would square off against each other on the biggest stage. That's not obviously the NFL. Heck, Allegiant Stadium was still just not even a thought when they first were teammates in 2016. Very soon after, well, actually, they would have been. It would have been, no, it would have been
They were
2017.
in high school when the announcement was made.
They were in high school when the announcement was made. By the time Caillou left for Stanford, the stadium wasn't even completed yet.
Yeah.
It might have been completed when Rome left for
Washington.
Washington because he was a year behind Caillou Blue Kelly. But look, it's just, one of those moments that it was hard. As Caillou was talking about it, you could see the smile, you could see the satisfaction. You just think about being a kid and going to high school and, making a good friend with a wide receiver. You're a cornerback, and you guys are talking about, man, one day we're going to make it to the NBA. People are laughing at you. Your family's telling you that'd be great, but make sure you study because that's what it's all about. They both did that and went on to great universities. But here they are playing against each other. What do you think? I mean, there's definitely going to be nerves, and they're both probably going to win a battle here or there or a rep here or there. But when speaking practically, whoever's defending Rome Odunze, whether it's Caillou the entire game or they switch off or however they do it, he's been a problem. He's scored 4 touchdowns in 3 games. I think one of only 2 wide receivers, along with Keenan Allen over with the LA Chargers, to have scored a touchdown in each game. That's pretty cool stuff.
Tied for the league lead with Trey Tucker. Is Trey out there with 4 touchdowns this season?
Right, exactly.
So yeah, I mean it's,
but not in every game.
yeah, he's 3-1
He had
and
3 and 1.
But yeah, I mean, look, Rome Odunze has been the guy that has kind of stepped up as the number 1 receiver in this offense. It's clear that Ben Johnson wanted to utilize him in some similar ways, maybe to what he had with like Amon-Ra St. Brown in Detroit, and he has stepped up. And DJ Moore has kind of been the been the anti-beneficiary of that. It's been at his expense that he's kind of faded off as the former number 1 receiver, and now it's Rome Odunze. That's why they took him where they did last year in the first round. They saw this in him, and he is flourishing right now in Ben Johnson's offense. So it's going to be a big challenge for Caillou or whoever is on him in this game. He's the go-to guy now for the Bears, and he's coming back to his hometown.
The one bittersweet part of this story. You just mentioned Rome. You mentioned Brown from the Lions, Caillou Blue Kelly. These were Pac-12 football players.
Yeah, and
Pac-12.
and Rome and Caillou did go against each other in the Pac-12 before their schools left, and now it's a ACC versus Big Ten.
Right.
Yeah.
So for a couple of guys that know West Coast football really well, the fact that Washington, Stanford, and USC in Brown's case no longer exist in the same conference or have been split up, and it's still a mind bender for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of changes have happened for sure, no question.
Not
It's a new
good.
era in college football.
Yeah. Well, I do believe that the pendulum's going to swing, and we're going to get back some way somehow to how it used to be in terms of the alignments of the.
No,
we'll
we're
see.
not.
We'll see.
It's going to be a national super conference.
Yeah,
it's not going
that's
to matter.
probably, you're probably right. You make it a national super conference, and then you have a West, an East, a South, and have the same schools that used to be the Pac-12 be in that West. And
I don't know. Stanford will be in that though.
well, yeah, maybe not Stanford. You're right. All right, so we're going to quickly go to our usual feature at this point in the show, and that's our own Heidi Fang and Chuck Esposito from Station Casinos STN Sports. And they're going to talk about all the great action for this weekend. Chuck, Heidi, take it away.
And joining us now here on the First and 10 podcast, we have the race and sportsbook director in for his weekly segment. It's Chuck Esposito joining us from Station Casinos. I appreciate the time as always, Chuck. Week 4 about to get underway. And I know this might be I don't know if it's going to be a fun one to talk about by time all is said and done, but I know you're a Bears guy. Bears and Raiders this weekend, Chuck. So first of all, though, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. As you said, we're going into week 4. Week 3, we saw a lot more dogs barking as we had the Packers lose outright, the Cowboys lose outright, the Falcons lose outright, the Ravens lose outright. So overall, a much better weekend for our side of the counter. But we dive right back into it in week 4 with some big games, and including the one in our backyard with the Bears Raiders.
Yeah, and the Raiders right now being a 1-point favorite on the STN Sports app. I'm wondering, like, what way right now the public is leaning with this game at home at Allegiant Sunday, 1:25 p.m. kickoff.
Ticket count still favors the Raiders at about 58%. Not an overwhelming amount, but early money has favored the Bears. The game opened up 2. It's come down to 1. My guess is, just based on what I'm hearing, you're going to see a 50-50 split of orange and blue in the crowd and black and silver in the crowd. So there's going to be a lot of Bears fans there as well. Bears looking to kind of piggyback off their win against Dallas, where Caleb Williams had a really good game. And I think you look at the Raiders, this could be against a kind of poorest Bears defense, maybe an opportunity for Ashton Genty to break out somewhat and have a really big game here. But I think you're going to have a lot of points scored here. It's one of the higher totals on the board. Look for a lot of offense in Allegiant on Sunday afternoon.
I'm thinking it goes that way as well. And what's interesting to me, right now the over-under at 47, but when you look at Geno Smith and what he's able to accomplish and how Trey Tucker really flourished in their last game against the Commanders, with the offensive line being a little shaky, I think that's maybe a nice way of putting it, but they haven't had the best play. They've underperformed, to say the least. Just with the Bears also, on the other hand, allowing up to 8, I believe, passing touchdowns right now. Like you said, a porous defense. Just, what do you think about that over-under on the total?
I'll give you a few stats with that. I mean, the Bears have gone over 5 of their last 6 games. Yet the Raiders have gone under in 7 of their last 9 games. Raiders just 13-3 straight up at home their last 16 games, and 1-6 at home their last 7 games. 2-4 against the number their last 6 games playing Chicago. So going back to the Oakland days, and then of course a few years ago with Justin Fields, they played him here at Allegiant. So there are some kind of stats or trends that favor the Bears in this game, but basically it's a pick'em game. As I said, we opened at 2. Early action clearly on Chicago, drove that number down to 1. But I still think our local backers will be backing the Raiders heavily and see if they can get their second win and see if the Bears somehow can win back-to-back games with Caleb Williams.
You mentioned the underdogs earlier, and one of the ones that you mentioned was the Ravens. I wanted to bring that game up because as of right now, the Chiefs are actually 3-point underdogs in that game. This one, 2 top contending teams in the AFC, but yet the Chiefs just coming off of their first win in week 3. I mean, if you told me that's how they were going to start the season, I wouldn't have believed it. Just where have you seen the action coming in on this game?
It's a really hard game to gauge, and you're right about the Chiefs. You think about the Chiefs who went through basically a 5-year stretch where they were never the dog at home.
Yeah.
Now they're the dog twice in 3 weeks at home. They were the dog to the Eagles and now the dog to the Ravens. So kind of unfamiliar territory there. I think it's a much bigger game to the Chiefs. The Ravens play in the AFC North, which we know the Browns aren't very good. We know the Bengals are without Joe Burrow. Steelers are 2-1, but they haven't shown they can stop anybody. I'm not overly concerned with the Ravens, but you look at the Chargers in the AFC West, who will win against the Giants in Jackson Dart, puts them at 4-0 and division and wins against every team in the division. This is a much bigger game to the Chiefs. And again, uncharacteristic territory, being a home dog for the second time in 3 weeks. They lost that game to the Eagles a few weeks ago by 3 points. They're going to be looking to try to win this game. I think we're going to see some Chief money show +3 by kickoff on Sunday.
I think the way I would have probably leaned on that, Arrowhead underdogs. I might go crazy myself on that.
I know, right?
Okay, so we also have a doubleheader, Monday Night Football. The first one, Jets Dolphins. Second one, Bengals Broncos. Just wondering your take on maybe which one of these is a hot ticket right now with Station Casinos.
Well, I'm going to repeat what I say many times. Yay, sportsbooks. I love the Monday night doubleheader. It's not your prototypical doubleheader where one game follows the other.
Right.
They kick off about an hour and a half apart. But Jets, Dolphins, they both need a win. It looks like Justin Fields will be back for the Jets. Dolphins played better last Thursday. They've had more time to kind of prepare for this game after that game against Buffalo. Again, both teams really need a win here. We've seen some early action on the Jets, but nothing that would really push us off the number. And that Bengal-Bronco game is a huge number. I mean, at 7.5, you're really looking at the Broncos being a big favorite. Bengals were blown out last week in their first game without Joe Burrow in Minnesota. This is a second road game. Easily, the Broncos could be 3-0. They lost 2 games right at the end. I think it's a big number here. I think we'll see some sharp action, which we've seen a little bit so far, show on the Bengals plus the points.
Okay. Let's see what those sharp guys know. Maybe I'll follow that money. But Chuck, I appreciate your time here as always. Is there anything you want to tell us going on this week? I mean, there's always so much, and like we keep saying, to download the app, the SDN Sports app, because there's so much you can do with it. There's props, touchdown scorers, whether you want to go with the alternate spread, the money line, all of those things available. Plus, Chuck, I know that you've got things going on at the sports books, the physical locations around town. What can you tell the fans listening about what's happening these days at station casinos?
You did a great job. You should be our spokesperson for that. That was a terrific intro. Yeah, we've got a lot of fun stuff going on. Some great drink specials in our books, $3 shots, $3 beers, $1.99 margaritas. I mean, I know it's fun to go to a game, but if you can't be at a game, there's no better place to be in one of our race and sports books. And get signed up for the app. We still have that up to $50 no worry wager going on. So if you place the wager, you hit that no worry button and you win, great. But if you lose, up to $50, we're going to give it back to you. So, I mean, it's kind of a great benefit right now and so much going on. We're not that far away from puck drop. I know off air, you and I talked about WNBA semifinals. We're not that far away from the NBA, college hoops, and then the holidays. So what a great time to have the sportsbook, SDN Sports, in the palm of your hand. So get signed up today for all this action.
And there you have it from Chuck Esposito, again, the race and sportsbook director from Station Casinos. I'm Heidi Fang. Now let's head back to Adam and Vinny for more of the First and 10 podcast.
All right. Thank you to Heidi Fang and Chuck Esposito, the sports and racebook director over at Station Casinos STN Sports. The Raiders are on a 2-game losing streak. I think we would both agree there's no way, zero, that they can go down 1-3 and dig themselves into that kind of hole. Now, somebody asked Pete Carroll today, there's statistics that show if you start 1-3, that's really damaging for your playoff hopes. Pete said, yeah, well, there's two sides to that coin. I'm not quite sure what the other side is. I'm not sure what the other side is, but, he's been around a long time, so maybe he knows. But the bottom line, Adam, no way, shape, or form can the Raiders fall. By the way, real quick, when that question was being asked, I could kind of see Pete laughing because it was like, the playoffs. And I think he's thinking playoffs.
Yeah, we're just trying to win a game.
Are you serious right now?
Yeah.
Like, I understood the question. There's no doubt about it. But it's like,
well, actually, right now, 1 and 2 is the last wild card.
Well,
they're tied for the final.
But
wild
what
card
is 1
spot.
and 3? What would 1 and 3 be? But
there's two sides of that coin.
I was watching Pete as that question was being asked, and he's like, seriously, we're talking about the playoffs right now? Yeah. He like Adam said, you're trying to win a game. You have to
get somebody
win a game.
blocked.
You're trying to get somebody blocked so your running back doesn't get hit behind the line of scrimmage. I think that actually does happen on Sunday, and I think the Raiders win this game. For a lot of the same reasons that Adam was talking about. This is a wounded team. The matchups favor the Raiders in this game for a lot of different reasons, health being primary to that. What do you say?
Are wounded bears more dangerous? I don't know enough about bears. I like bears.
They are very scary.
You might not know this about me. I like bears doing human things. That's one of my favorite things in the
Yogi?
world. Well, Yogi's a cartoon. I like, I don't know if you're familiar with one of the great athletes of all time, Tetherball Bear. The bear that was playing tetherball. He's one of my favorites. A bear sitting at a picnic table. I
have gotten sucked into so many rabbit holes of watching bear videos.
Sure.
Breaking into homes, going through the refrigerator.
Who hasn't? One of my favorite things in the world. But I don't know enough about actual bears to know if a wounded bear is actually more dangerous.
I'm sure
I assume that it is.
All wounded animals.
Although I would think a bear that's at full strength is probably more dangerous than a wounded bear.
But they're not usually, unless you rile them up, they're not going to be prone to being riled up when they're hurt.
Fair.
That's when they're like their senses are heightened and they look at everybody as a threat at that point.
That's fair. I still would rather play a wounded bear than a fully healthy
in this
bear.
Sense.
And I think the Raiders are getting a wounded bear.
Yeah,
and I think
we really are just talking about football.
They need to.
Really
we're
bears.
getting there. They need to take advantage of that, and I think they will take advantage of that. And I do think they get the win this week. Because if they don't, the season is very much going in the wrong direction.
And just to be clear, it's the Chicago Bears football team, not literally Bears coming in here, wounded or otherwise.
I think Bears would be tough to play against, but I don't think strategically they would
you never know
the rules. Or
try
throwing a flag on a bear, see what he does.
That's true. He's not going to listen, or she, for that matter. Anyway, so I think we're in agreement. The Raiders should win this game. It will be ugly if they don't. But we'll be there on Sunday, one way or another, and we'll be with you guys after Sunday's game to give all of our analysis on Vegas Nation First and 10. Want to say thank you guys for supporting us, being with us. Keep hitting the subscribe button. Keep subscribing to Vegas Nation's YouTube page. Go to mylvrj.com/nation for a digital subscription to Vegas Nation for the next 3 months for just 25 cents. You get all the great Raider news, whether it's photos, news, commentary, videos, everything. We do it all over at vegasnation.com.
And if you did just hear that, as a listener, it is thundering and raining
It's
hard
bears
outside.
flying
Yeah.
into Las Vegas
Yep.
from Chicago.
Yep.
Yeah, we got a flash forward warning. Have a great weekend. Enjoy all the great college football games, by the way, and we'll see you guys on Sunday.